The world watched in 2021 as the Taliban swept back into power in Afghanistan. Many feared for the future of women and girls. Their fears were realized. The Taliban swiftly moved to restrict women's rights, including access to education. For many Afghan women, the dream of education seemed lost. However, a glimmer of hope emerged for some. They secured scholarships to study abroad. The United States government, through USAID, played a crucial role in providing these opportunities. The Asian University for Women in Bangladesh became a beacon of hope. Hundreds of Afghan women found a safe haven at AUW. They were determined to pursue their education. They dreamt of a brighter future for themselves and their country. Tragically, their hopes were dashed in January 2025. The U.S. government abruptly suspended funding for these programs. The impact on AUW students was immediate and devastating. Many faced imminent expulsion. They feared being sent back to Afghanistan. The future they had so carefully built lay in ruins. Their education was brutally interrupted. Their dreams were put on hold. The funding cuts represented more than just a loss of financial support. They represented a betrayal of trust. The international community watched in disbelief. How could a country like the United States, a supposed champion of human rights, abandon these women? The decision to cut funding was widely condemned. It was seen as a short-sighted and cruel policy. The world wondered what would become of these bright, determined women. Would their potential be wasted? Would their dreams be forever deferred? The funding cuts extend far beyond the walls of AUW. Afghan refugees and students around the world are grappling with the consequences. In Albania, Afghan visa holders, many of whom worked alongside U.S. forces, find themselves stranded. Their resettlement plans have been halted. They live in limbo, uncertain of their fate. The promise of a safe haven, a chance at a new life, has been broken. In Oman, over 80 Afghan women face imminent deportation. They had been studying STEM subjects, fields forbidden to women under the Taliban. They had escaped oppression and were determined to use their education to rebuild their country. Now they face the terrifying prospect of being sent back to the very regime they fled. Their futures hang in the balance. The USAID funding cuts have also impacted crucial programs worldwide. From Ukraine to South Africa, from Latin America to South and Central Asia, the ripple effects are being felt. Secret schools for Afghan girls have been forced to close. Training programs for female journalists have been suspended. The hopes and dreams of countless individuals have been shattered. The international community has been left reeling from the scale of the crisis. The decision to cut funding has had far-reaching and devastating consequences. It has left Afghan refugees feeling abandoned and betrayed. It has sent a dangerous message to the world that the U.S. is no longer committed to supporting human rights in education, particularly for women and girls. For Afghan women, the thought of returning to Afghanistan under Taliban rule is a terrifying prospect. The Taliban have shown their true colors since seizing power. They have systematically dismantled women's rights, including the right to education. Women are banned from universities, they are barred from working in most professions. They are confined to their homes, their lives and aspirations severely restricted. The Taliban claim that their policies are based on Islamic law. However, their interpretation of Islam is deeply flawed and widely condemned. The international community has refused to recognize the Taliban government. They have called for the restoration of women's rights and the reopening of schools and universities for girls. The Taliban's grip on Afghanistan is tightening. The situation for women and girls grows more precarious by the day. Returning to Afghanistan for these women is not an option. They face the very real threat of persecution, forced marriage, and violence. Their only hope lies in the international community. They need protection, they need support. They need a chance to build a future free from fear and oppression. The suspension of U.S. funding for Afghan women's education is a stain on the conscience of the world. It is a betrayal of the values of equality, opportunity, and human rights. We cannot stand idly by while the dreams of these bright, courageous women are crushed. We must act now to restore funding and ensure that Afghan women have the chance to reach their full potential. The international community must come together to condemn the funding cuts and demand their immediate reinstatement. We must pressure the U.S. government to reverse this harmful policy and uphold its commitments to supporting human rights and education globally. We must provide safe haven for Afghan refugees and ensure that they have access to education, healthcare, and other essential services. Education is not a privilege, it is a fundamental human right. It is the key to unlocking a brighter future for individuals, communities, and nations. We must never waver in our commitment to ensuring that all girls everywhere have the opportunity to learn, to grow, and to pursue their dreams. We must stand in solidarity with Afghan women and girls. We must amplify their voices, support their struggles, and fight for their right to education. Their future and the future of Afghanistan depends on it.